Welcome to our journey through the scriptures, where we uncover timeless truths and ancient stories. Today, we're diving into a powerful narrative from a period of great spiritual darkness in Israel's history. Why? This isn't just a family drama. It's a profound story of faith, agonizing waiting, deep pain, and the unfolding of a divine purpose. We find ourselves in the days when Israel was led by judges. It was a turbulent time, a season where the nation was spiritually adrift. Leadership was weak, and the Bible tells us that everyone did what was right in their own eyes. It's easy to think God is absent in times like these, but as we'll see, He is always at work, quietly weaving His grand design, even in the shadows. He was preparing a destiny that would change the course of a nation. Our story begins in the hill country of Ephraim, with a man named Elkanah. In an age of widespread compromise, Elkanah stands out. He was a Levite, a descendant of Kohath, and more importantly, he was a faithful worshiper of the Lord of hosts. This wasn't just a casual faith. Year after year, without fail, Elkanah would take his family on a pilgrimage to Shiloh. Shiloh was the spiritual center of Israel at the time, where the tabernacle and the Ark of the Covenant resided. He went there to worship and to offer sacrifices to God. Think about that commitment. In a society where many were turning their backs on God, Elkanah's consistent journey to Shiloh was a public declaration of his allegiance. It was an act of faith that showed his heart was truly committed to the Lord, regardless of the culture around him. Now, let's meet his family, because this is where the story gets complicated. Elkanah had two wives. One was named Peninnah, and the other was Hannah. This was a common practice in that culture, but as we'll see, it often led to conflict and heartache. Peninnah was blessed with children. She had sons and daughters, and you can imagine their home filled with the noise, the laughter, and the energy of a bustling family. Her life was full in a way that was highly valued in her society. But then there was Hannah. Bible states it simply, but with profound weight. Hannah had no children. In that ancient culture, barrenness was more than just a personal sorrow or a medical condition. It was a source of deep shame, a public disgrace. A woman's value was often tied to her ability to bear children, especially sons to carry on the family name. So, for Hannah, every day was a reminder of what she lacked. Every family gathering, every time she saw Peninnah with her children, it was a fresh sting of pain. She carried a silent, heavy burden. Day after day, she lived with the echo of unanswered prayers. She loved God with all her heart, yet her deepest desire remained unfulfilled. Her womb was closed. And so it seemed, was the door to her joy. To make matters worse, she didn't find compassion where she needed it most, within her own home. Peninnah, her rival wife, saw Hannah's pain not as something to soothe, but as an opportunity to wound. The scriptures say Peninnah provoked her severely to make her miserable. This wasn't a one-time argument. It was a constant, deliberate campaign of cruelty. Peninnah's words were like daggers, cutting deep into Hannah's already fragile heart. Imagine the tension in the household. The taunts were especially sharp because Hannah was barren and Peninnah used her own fertility as a weapon. This pain reached its peak during the annual trip to Shiloh. This was supposed to be a time of celebration and worship, a spiritual high point for the family. But for Hannah, it became a yearly reminder of her emptiness. While everyone else feasted on the sacrificial meal, Hannah's grief would overwhelm her. The Bible tells us she would weep and refuse to eat. Her heart was so heavy with sorrow that she couldn't even partake in the joyful worship. The very place where she should have found comfort became the stage for her deepest anguish. Elkanah, their husband, saw her distress. He loved Hannah deeply, perhaps even more than Peninnah. He would try to comfort her. He'd give her a double portion of the sacrificial meat, a gesture of special honor and affection. He would ask her tenderly, "Hannah, why are you weeping?" Why don't you eat? Why is your heart so grieved? Am I not more to you than 10 sons? He meant well. His words came from a place of love. He was trying to remind her of his devotion, that her value to him was not based on her ability to have children. But as well-intentioned as his words were, they couldn't reach the depths of her pain. A husband's love, as wonderful as it is, couldn't fill the void that God had allowed. Sometimes, human comfort just isn't enough. It can't erase the unique ache that we carry inside. Hannah's sorrow was a spiritual battle, a cry from the soul that only God could answer. And here is the most crucial part of this chapter. God was watching. Through all the tears, the taunts, and the turmoil, he was not distant. He was silent, yes, but he was present. He was hidden, but he was attentive. What looked and felt like an agonizing delay was, in fact, divine preparation. God was allowing this season of profound brokenness to prepare Hannah's heart for an incredible purpose. Hannah's story is a powerful reminder for all of us. God's silence does not mean God's absence. His delays are not his denials. In fact, some of the greatest destinies in Scripture and in our own lives are forged in the fiery furnace of waiting. It is in these seasons of longing and helplessness that our faith is purified and our character is shaped. God was about to do something extraordinary through Hannah, but first, he had to bring her to the end of herself. This intense pain was about to be transformed. It was about to become a desperate, history-making prayer, and that prayer would give birth not just to a child, but to a prophet who would anoint kings and guide a nation back to God. The pain was the catalyst for purpose. What will happen when Hannah finally pours out her soul to God in the temple at Shiloh? Join us in the next episode as we witness the cry of a barren heart and a prayer that changed everything. Never forget, God still hears the silent prayers and sees the hidden tears. His timing is always perfect. To be continued in episode 2, The Cry of a Barren Heart. Thanks for watching. And if this story resonated with you, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss what comes next.